Alright guys, let's take this on. First off, remember within our head tag, we've already titled our web page called FlexBox application, which is what is captured right here. And then we've linked our CSS to the HTML by means of the link tag with the href pointing to the file name of the CSS. Let's collapse the head tag now. Over to the body section. Over now to key in our first section, a section with a class name of hero. Good, that's our section with a class name of hero. Inside the section, I want us to have a div. A div can be used to group elements together. In this case, we're using the div to group a h1 and a p together. So this is the hierarchy. The h1 and the p are siblings because they are child elements of the div. So the div is their direct parent, while the div is a child of this section with the class name of hero. Meaning the h1 and the p are grandchildren to the section with the class name of hero. The div is the direct child of the section with the class name of hero. I hope we're getting the point right here. The grandparent is the section with the class name of hero. The parent is the div, while the children are the h1 and the p. Both of them are siblings to each other because they are on the same level. They are not inside of each other. All right. Even with this markup, our web page is still blank. Let's go apply some content in the form of text. The heading, let's give it subject of certification experts, and let's give our paragraph dummy content of like 50 words. Good. This right here is our section that is the parent to the div, which in turn is the parent to the h1 and the paragraph. If you go to our web page now, you'll see the content we just keyed in. Watch what happens here before our CSS preset. There's a gap between the C and the edge of the screen. The C is not touching the edge of the screen. Let's go over and key in our CSS presets and see what happens. Universal selector asterisk, set margin to 0, padding to 0, box sizing to border box. Go over to our web page. You can see the C is now flushing right by the edge of the screen. That's the essence of that preset. Okay, we're taking this on a step-by-step basis. The next step I want us to take at this point is to style our section. Okay, let's style the section and give it a background image. Over to CSS. Our section has a class name of hero, so the selector would be section.hero. Let's give it a height of 100 vertical height, and then a background color of aquamarine. Go over to our browser, you will see this is our section with the background color of aquamarine. Our content, which is the h1 in the paragraph, are within the section. As you can see, our content, the h1 and the paragraph are within the section. Next step, let's give this section a background image such that the image will be on the background while the content, which is the heading and the paragraph, will be on top of the image. Let's get that effect done. We're styling the hero section with a background property. We'll set the URL. URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator. In this case, we're going to locate the image resource we want to use as the background of the hero section. Earlier in the video, we set up an image folder and we have about 4 images within the images folder. We're going to be using this first image, already file named hero-image.jpg. That's what we'll be using in this case to give our hero section a background image. So 4 images inside the image folder. Images folder is inside the web design folder. All right, let's go over. To access that particular image, we'll first reference the images folder. That is it, images folder, then slash the particular image within the images folder, which is the hero image. Go over to our web page. You see the background image is already sitting right there within the section of the web page. Notice one thing, the image ended here and tended to repeat itself. This tendency to repeat itself, it's not good for user experience as far as hero sections go. All right, there could be other cases where it finds application just in case you want to create some kind of repetitive pattern. But in this case, it doesn't make sense for the image to end and repeat itself. We need to take care of this. How do we do that? We go over to the CSS and use the background repeat property. Background repeat, to set it to no repeat. We've even been saying that the background image within our section, our hero section, should not repeat. If you go over, you see the image is no longer repeating, but it ends here, leaving us a blank space. We need to take care of this blank space as well. To take care of this, we go over to our CSS and now set the background size to 100%. What this means is the image on the background should fill up 100% of the width. Go over to our web page. You see that now the image now fills the entire screen, which is better than having a blank space to the right. We've taken care of the background image for our hero section. Let's focus now on the text content, which is the heading and the paragraph. Concerning the heading and the paragraph, I'm not quite satisfied at the font size. I wish the font size was bigger. You know, this is a hero section and we want the font and everything on the hero section to be sized big enough to capture attention, just like a billboard effect. All right, let's go back to our CSS now and work on the heading and the paragraph. The heading tag is H1. We can change the font size to 65 pixels. Let's see if that reflects. Good. The font size is now bigger. This is better. Over to the paragraph. Paragraph selector is P. We'll change the font size to 28 pixels. The paragraph is now bigger. Good. Next, I want us to constrain the width of the paragraph. I don't want the paragraph running all the way from the left side of the screen to the very right edge. No, let's constrain it to about half or less than half the portion of the screen. We'll do that by setting the width of the paragraph to about 600 pixels. Now the paragraph drops down. Let's make it let's say 650 pixels because I want it to extend. Good. I think this is better. All right, as you can see, the text content, which is the heading on the paragraph, they are at the top left, the topmost left corner of the screen, which doesn't make sense. We need to find a way to reposition it for better aesthetics. We need to bring it down a little bit. Let's say from this point to somewhere within the middle of the screen, the vertical middle of the screen. How do we achieve that? That is where FlexBox comes in. And for the fact that you've completed your FlexBox challenge, all 24 levels of it, definitely you should know which FlexBox feature or stunt can be used to move this content from this point down to the middle side of the screen. How do we do that? Let's go over to our CSS. First off, for us to activate FlexBox on an element, we set the display property to flex, right? Remember, the display property is set on the parent element. The content we see on the web page, this H1 and the paragraph, they are unbundled together with a div. As you can see here, the two of them are within a div. So the div is the box containing the heading and the paragraph. Now this box, this div which serves as a box, is a child element to the section with the class name of hero. So the parent here is the section with the class name of hero. We would use it to reposition this box which holds the heading and the paragraph. This is what we mean. We'll go back to the section with the class name of hero and set its display property to flex. The display is now flex, but nothing happens because by default the child element would align to the top left part of the screen. But watch, when we set its align items property, remember if we want to center elements vertically or reposition elements vertically, we use the align items property. We set it to center. Now the certification experts, which is the text, the box of text, now moves to the middle of the screen. Just two properties. Which properties do we set? We set the parent to display of flex and set its align items property to center, which centered the content vertically on the screen. You know what? I feel like reducing the number of characters in the paragraph. Too many words. Let's take down some words. Let's just take it down to this point. The words are fewer now. It is okay just like this. It's just a pitch deck. Now, I want the heading and the paragraph to be moved away from the edge of the screen. Doesn't make sense. It is flushing right on the edge of the screen right now. We will use the padding property to take care of that. But on which element do we set the padding property? Remember, the heading and the paragraph are inside of the div. We could set padding on the div to move the heading and the paragraph away from the edge of the screen. Let's go over and say div, select a div, set the padding to 25 pixels. That moves the heading and paragraph away from the edge of the screen, but I think we should move it a bit more. So let's set this instead to 45 pixels. That's better. Let's leave it this way. All right. Notice that some characters on our paragraph are not visible enough because of the background image. What I mean is this LORE is visible because this portion of the background image has a light background. But this portion that has a black background, by virtue of the lady's hair, we can't quite see the characters of this word. What do we do about this? A quick step to take care of that is to set the background color of the div that is containing the heading and the paragraph. We'll set it to black. Let's do that and see what happens. The div right here, set the background color to black. Oh no! Now we can't even see any character in our heading and paragraph anymore. What do we do? Simple. Set the color of the font to white. Come here and set color to white. And there you have it. Your heading and your paragraph is very visible, contrasting quite well. You can see every single character of the heading and the paragraph. But then we can't see the man's face anymore, no, this lady's face. How do we take care of that? As for that, there is a property called opacity. You already know what it is from the word opaque. Opaque is the opposite of transparent. While transparent is a property which represents something you can see through, opacity is the direct opposite. And between transparent and opaque, we have the word translucent, which means it is not 100% transparent, neither is it 100% opaque. It's somewhere in between. Right now, this div box that is containing the heading and the paragraph is 100% opaque, so we cannot see through. In order for us to tweak it such that we can see through a bit, we would have to reduce the opacity from 1, which stands for 100%, and take it down to, let's say, halfway, which is 0.5. Let's see how that goes. Let's go over to our CSS and set the opacity of the div box. If we set it to 1, you will see that nothing happens because 1 represents 100% opacity, which means you can never see through the box. If we take it down to 0.5, which is 50% opacity, let's see what happens. Cool. We can now see through the div box and get a glimpse of the man's face and the woman's face, and also our paragraph is visible. But then let us tweak it to favor the paragraph more, such that we can more visibly see the characters and get the message of this web page. We'll take care of that by increasing the opacity of the div box from half to somewhere 3/4 or 75%. 75% opacity, this is what we have. So we can read the characters on the paragraph, lorem ipsum dolor sit, and still get a glimpse somewhat of the man's face and the woman's face in the background. This is better than what it used to be when the opacity was 100% or a value of 1. Let's focus now on the key point of this video, which has to do with FlexBox. Getting to use FlexBox features or stunts to position content on our web page. We already set the parent container to a display property of flex. That is it right here, display flex. And we moved the box containing the content from the top where it was down to the vertical middle with the property align items center. What if we want to move this box to the middle? That's in between the middle of the center of the web page. How do we do that? You already did that, remember, when you were taking care of the FlexBox challenge. Remember, we used two properties. We use both the align items center and justify content center to perfectly center content on our web page. We already have align item center here. All we have to do is just add justify content center, and the box moves right to the middle of the web page, in between the middle of the center of the web page. If, however, for whatever reason you choose, you want to send your content box to the right end of the web page, what do? You just go over and change the justify content property from center, which it is right now, to flex end. And your content box goes right over to the right side of the screen. It's as simple as that. You know what? Let's take this our content box right back to the center of the middle of the screen. Go over to our CSS and replace the justify content value from flex end to center. And there we have it. Our content box is right in the middle of the screen. So this is our hero section with a background image and a content box that is translucent enough for us to see the image in the background and also have our content of text, heading and paragraph visible to the end user.